We come to the last speaker of today, and that is taxation. The very reason why we kept taxation for the last is because we want to avoid it. Not you. No, we are not avoiding you, SRC. To give a brief introduction about SRC, SR Chandrasekharan has been a chartered accountant and a cost accountant since 1984. Started his career in 1985 with Ennur Foundries, and then moved on to Dubai in 1986 and was there till 1995, working for several large corporations. After which he came to India and started practicing as a partnering with Govind and Bala Associates. In January 1996, he also co-founded the Sai Securities and Consultants, a company specializing in investment advisory, taxation, and RBI regulations. Other professional activities of SRC are he is a founder team member of the IFA Galaxy, an association of independent financial advisors. He is a regular speaker at various professional forums on taxation and investment matters. He is affiliated to the Satya Sai Trust in a big way and a very active participant. His interests and hobbies are that he is a passionate listener of Carnatic classical music and a keen follower of the fortunes and misfortunes of the Indian cricket team. I present to you SRC. He will speak for 30 minutes and there will be a Q&A for 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's a long tiring day, so you must be looking forward, when will this guy finish and when can I go home, right? No? No? Okay, that's good to learn. Vasu had a wonderful, humorous session, and I'm very confident I'll not be able to do anything near what he did. But he gave me some, one small question as we were having lunch. Only one thing I want from you. I don't want to pay tax. Tell me a way. Very good. Vasu, you have the answer now. Is that what you wanted?
If bills are taken care, no problem.
Okay. So, somebody should take care of the bill. He'll have no income and he'll pay no tax. Okay. He can be a farmer. Yeah. Agricultural income. As long as the politicians continue to have agricultural income, I think it will continue to be tax-free. Okay. What I'm planning to do now is to give you very basics. I know income tax is a very vast subject. We can't cover even a small portion within the 30-40 minutes. So I'm going to do very basic stuff for you. And as Moshin Bhai said, we'll leave for about 15-20 minutes of question-answer session, so that you can ask any question. I'll hopefully try and answer most of that. So first question for Vasu is, how much is tax-free? Vasu, 2.5 lakhs is tax-free. So this just the basic slab rates for you. You have 10, 20, 30. Long back when Chidambaram brought in these rates, they continue to remain as they are even today. The only point is more than 1 crore, you pay a 10% surcharge. Beyond that, there is nothing new to learn on this subject. It's moved up from 2 lakh to 2.5 lakhs in the first slab. Then there are two categories of senior citizens. The first category is persons 60 years and above, and their basic exemption is now 3 lakhs. And there is a new category called, it's been there for about 2-3 years now, new category called super senior citizens. 80 years and above get a basic slab of 5 lakhs. But the government talks a lot about non-resident Indians, but this concession of senior, super senior citizens does not apply to non-residents. So we need to be very wary of that. A lot of people say, I'm a senior citizen, I'm living in US, UK, wherever, but their limit continues to be the basic 2.5 lakhs. We need to be very clear of that. Now we come to investment and taxation, because all of us are investors. We are looking at how to minimize the taxes. So I'm giving you the income tax rates for investments. The dividends that we get, we all know is tax free, but that's only what is told. There is a dividend distribution tax. There used to be a lot of arbitrage opportunities in the debt funds because there has been no dividend distribution tax on the equity and equity related schemes. On equities it is there, on equity related schemes, oriented schemes, we didn't have a dividend distribution tax. What used to be a 10% dividend distribution tax at the initial stage has now caught up and it's now almost 28.325. So there is virtually no arbitrage between fixed deposit, which is taxable at probably the peak rate, and this dividend distribution tax. So we don't have too much, yeah. Sorry? No, 10% surcharge on 25%, which is 2.5. Okay. We leave certain things vague. That's Income Tax Act for you. Okay. If everything is spelled out very clearly, there is no job for me. So we try to keep certain things that way, right? So dividends are tax free, but you pay indirectly this 28.325. Now we go to long-term capital gain and short-term capital gain. A few years back, when the period of holding for a long term was brought down, originally it was all 36 months for every class of asset, then there were tweaking around, it came down for equity shares, for mutual funds and similar financial instruments. The holding period to qualify as long term was brought down to 12 months. But once again, this budget, Mr. Arun Jaitley in his own wisdom thought we have given away too much. So he moved it back to 36 months except equities. Only equity today stands at holding period of 12 months to qualify as long term. The debt funds have moved to 36 months, and that is effective 11th of July, very strange date because that's the day on which they passed the budget, they presented the budget, and they said till yesterday if you had redeemed it will still qualify as 12 months for a longer term. From today onwards they have made it as 36 months. Very strange, but that's what it is. And previously also they had the choice of selecting the tax rate based on which is advantageous to you. You can use indexation and pay 20%, or without indexation you could pay 10%. Now that's been removed. You have no choice now. You hold for long term and you pay 20% with indexation. So that choice is moved away. So that's long term. Equity fortunately continues to be tax free beyond 1 year. We'll hope it stays that way, but we can't be very sure because the government, as per yesterday's information, the whole year deficit, whatever was the budget, 83% of the deficit has been reached already in 6 months' time. Full year budget has been reached. So where will they go? They'll have to probably do some more magic. What magic they will do, we don't know. Next budget, this could well go back to 36 months. We hope not. Now we look at short term. The short term taxation rate for equity, which still continues to be 12 months. I'll repeat that so that it goes into your mind very clearly. The short term taxation rate is 15% for equity and equity oriented mutual funds. And the short term for debt funds, that is the non-equity funds, it just simply gets added to your income, and whatever slab rate you are in, you will be charged at that rate. So whether it makes sense to be a short-term bond investor or a fixed deposit investor, or you want to come into a mutual fund is something, there is nothing much of an arbitrage, so that's going to be an easy call from now on. Once again, there is a differentiation for non-resident Indians. The government loves them, but they keep putting in spokes from time to time. Only non-resident Indians suffer tax deduction at source on mutual fund redemptions. The TDS rate is similar to the taxation rate. For short-term equity, it is 15%. For short-term debt, it is 30%, because they have just simply taken the maximum rate and they're going to deduct the entire. They are worried the non-residents will run away without paying any tax. So whatever is the maximum, they are deducting that. Similarly, for short-term, debt is at, no, I think I told you short-term. So short-term debt is 30% and equity is 15%. Long-term debt is 20%, equity is 0. So that's how it goes. And securities transaction tax is deducted on every redemption and every switch from any scheme, whether it is for resident or non-resident, it doesn't matter. Before I started this presentation, I asked Srini what are the things he wanted me to cover. He gave me a long list. I've tried to cover most of that, but it's very difficult to finish whatever we have, whatever we want in that long list, but I'm trying my best. The next aspect I wanted to cover was on gift, because as individuals, many have a doubt on what is tax-free gift, what is taxable gift. So any gift which is received in excess of 50,000 in cash or in kind is taxable in the hands of the person who is receiving it. So if you receive a gift, more than up to 50,000 is tax-free even now. So more than 50,000, it is taxable. Also, any immovable property that you are purchasing for a value which is less than the fair market value, and if that difference, the difference between purchase and the fair market value is more than 50,000, once again you get caught in the gift. What happens is this gift amount is simply added to your income and taxed at whatever slab rates you are in. They have given very few exemptions. I will talk about 2 exemptions. One of that is there are a few occasions where you can receive a gift more than 50,000 and still not pay any tax. One of that is on the occasion of marriage, or if you receive any gift under a will. Anybody could have given you a will, so need not necessarily be from a relative. So it can be anybody who is giving you a will, and any gift received on a will is tax-free. Or any gift received in contemplation of a death. Somebody is very sick, wants to give away before he passes away, he wants to give some gift to anybody. That has to be documented. That's more important. We need to prove that whatever gift you received is really from any of these sources. You will have to have a clear document to prove that you received it under these circumstances. There are a few trusts, universities and other institutions that give you donations or grants or whatever. They will also qualify as a tax-free gift. Also, there are certain categories of relatives who could give gift without any limit, without attracting the 50,000 limit. Of course, the spouse of the individual. I've tried to club the categories into 2 or 3 manageable lots. If you read the act, it gives you about 10, 12 lines. What it says essentially is the spouse, brother or sister of the individual, or of the spouse, or of any of the parents. So they will say as brother or sister of the individual, brother or sister of the spouse of the individual, brother or sister of any of the parents. So they write lines. So instead I've tried to keep it simple for you to understand. Then we also have the lineal ascendant. Descendant simply means parent, grandparent, great-grandparents, and descendant means children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So any lineal ascendant, descendant gives you a gift, then that gift becomes tax-free in your hands, irrespective of the amount. Then spouse of any of the above category. So that's what it means. Yeah, what happens is you receive a gift. At that time, it's good to document it either preferably on a 20 rupee stamp paper, saying that I am pleased to give you a gift of rupees so much towards so and so, whatever natural love and affection, whatever they want to write, they can write, and say that it has been given irrevocably for your use.